pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we sit, I would just like, there's a lot of sickness and death that's going around in the country. We have Mr. Gianelli, who is not with us and has been on the board for a long time. He lost his brother-in-law. So I just would like to thank him for his service on the board and just giving sympathy to him and his family at this time. So we're just going to take a few minutes of silence. Thank you all. Roll call.
Al.
Present.
Terry. Present. Michelle.
Here.
Kate.
Here.
Gladys.
Here.
Mary. Here. Lauren.
Here.
Juanita.
Here.
Rich. Julie.
Here.
And
Thank you. Next on the agenda is Spotlight Your School, Pembroke.
Get closer.
Hello? Okay, perfect. Thank you for having me this evening. I first want to thank Hans Medardo, our media specialist teacher. He helped me put together the presentation we're going to see this evening, so thank you so much, Hans. I also want to thank my staff that's here and those who weren't able to make it this evening. Pembroke would not be the school it is if it wasn't for all of them, so I'm extremely grateful for my staff, my students, and my family. So without further ado, here you go.
Welcome, viewers. I'm here with Dr. Perez to talk to you about our wonderful school.
Hello, Lily. Thank you so much for having me on your show today.
You're welcome. The first question is, what is the makeup of our school?
So Pembroke is home to roughly around 367 amazing learners. That number changes daily. We have about 21 students identify as Asian, 34 that identify as Black, roughly around 142 that identify as Hispanic, 12 that identify as American Indian, 1 as a Pacific Islander, 32 who are multi-race, and about 125 who identify as white. Something that is unique to them. We have about 112 MLO learners, so roughly around 31% of our population are MLO students.
Our school is incredible. That transitions nicely to our first segment of the day. Pembroke are the numbers.
As you can see here, this is our next Next Generation Accountability Index, which is determined by the state of Connecticut. For over the past couple of years, Pembroke has been trending downward little by little. Fortunately, in last year, our 23-24 school year, we increased a bit. We are now at 61.4%. Some of the indicators that led to some success last year was our chronic absenteeism rate, our fitness scores, our math growth, and especially our ELL growth. When looking at our ESPA scores for the 23-24 school year and comparing them from the year before, what you will see here is in blue is how Danbury Public School is doing and Pembroke in comparison to Danbury Public School as a whole. When looking at third grade, you see that in 22-23 we were at 19% proficient, and now in third grade last year, 23-24, we are now at 28% proficiency. When looking at fourth grade, the previous year we were at 26% proficiency, and unfortunately we did go down a bit where we are at 19% proficiency last year for 23-24. And looking at our fifth graders, our fifth grade in 22-23 was at 18% proficiency, and we did increase to 25% proficiency. When looking at it more closely as a rough cohorting, meaning comparing how the fourth graders did in 22-23 on ESPA in comparison to how they performed in fifth grade in 23-24 on ESPA, what you will see in blue, we had 19% proficiency in fourth grade in the 22-23 school year, and then they were at 25. That same group, which is a rough cohort, was at 25% proficient in 23-24 school year. However, that is a rough cohort, so we can't say exactly how students are doing from one year to the next. When looking at our math proficiency, we are performing better in math than we are in ELA. When looking at third grade, the 22-23 school year, we were at 33% proficient. We did have a small decline. We were at 30% proficient last year. In third grade, when looking at fourth grade in the 22-23 school year, you'll see that we were at 23% proficiency in the 22-23 school year, and we grew to 37% proficiency at the 23rd-24th school year in fourth grade, which is great growth. When looking at fifth grade, what you will see is the year before we were at 17% proficiency in the 22-23 school year, and then in the 23rd-24th school year last year, we grew to 25% proficiency. And once again, the blue is Danbury Public School District, and the red is Pembroke. So I'm comparing Pembroke compared to the Danbury Public School District. When looking at Pembroke specifically and doing a rough cohort, this obviously brings out some concerns as far as how our fourth graders are performing from fourth grade to fifth grade. So what you'll see in the blue in fourth grade, we had about 33% proficiency in the 22-23 school year. And then that same group in red in the 23-24 school year, their proficiency rate dropped to 25%, and that is definitely something we are looking at on a school level. Achievement scores. What you will see here is we actually increased the students who were proficient. We went from roughly around 10% proficiency rate in the 22-23 school year to about 17% proficiency rate in the 23-24 school year. What you will also see is we decreased the number of students at the beginning level. In the 22-23 school year, we were at 27% students who were scoring beginning on Lost Links, and we were able to decrease that number to 20% of students scoring at the beginning level on Lost Links. When comparing our Lost Links growth from the 23 school year to the 24 school year, what you see here is we had some significant growth, more in literacy than in oral, but overall we had some great growth. In the 22nd, 23rd school year, we had about 49% of our average percent target achieved, where last year we had about 73% average percent target achieved. So So that is a significant amount of growth, about 25% growth from one year to the next. When looking at our oral scores, we had about 52% target achieved, average percent target achieved in the 22-23 school year, and we increased that roughly about 10% to this last school year, 23-24, to about 62% of average percent target achieved. And we're hoping to continue that into this school year. When looking at our chronic absenteeism data, what you will see from the 22-23 school year to last year, the 23-24 school year, our attendance rate previously was around 93%, and we were able to increase that a percentage point last year to 94%. Our overall chronic absenteeism rate the previous year was around 19%, and we did see a positive decline in our chronic absenteeism rate to roughly about 16%. The population we're still trying to work on is our students with disability. Their chronic absenteeism rate is still relatively high at Pembroke. Our current, for the 24-25 school year, our current absenteeism rate is 15%, so we're moving in a much positive direction. And our current attendance rate is 94.13%, so roughly about where we were at the previous year.
Thank you, Dr. Perez. That definitely breaks down our population and lets us know a little bit more about our school. However, can you tell us more about where we are now?
So where is Pembroke Elementary School at today? On our most recent reading mid-year benchmark, we saw a decrease of the number of students who are 3 or more grade levels below. So we went from 26% below grade level 3 or more grade levels below to 15% when we took the test in December. And we increased the number of our students who are mid or at grade level from 9% from the beginning of the year to 14%. We also saw that a median percent progress towards typical growth for our school was 59%. When looking at math, we actually decreased the number of students who are 3 or more grade levels below from 11% to 8%, and increased the number of students who were mid or above grade level from 3% in the beginning of the year to 9% at this point in the year. And our median progress towards typical growth is 48%. Additionally, looking at comparing our beginning of the year to middle of the year DIBELS data, what you see here is relatively, for the most part, we are slowly increasing the number of students who are at grade level or above benchmark, while slowly decreasing the number of students who are well below benchmark. This data is a little similar to what our data looks like at this point last year, and then at the end of the year, we did see some great success, so I'm not uberly concerned about where we're at the middle of the year. And when looking at our EARLA data, which is through our ARC reading program, this is comparing our data from 2023-24 February to where we're at this point in February, 24-25 school year. So rough cohorting it, looking at our kindergarten students at this point last year and where they're at as first graders this year, we see a slight increase of our students who are at proficient or above. So last year, the kindergarteners were about 48% proficient. This year, we have about 50% proficiency. Looking at our first graders, we had about 47.1% proficiency at this point last year. There has been a small decline. We're seeing about 40% proficiency this year as second graders. That's partially due to the change in standards or the increase in difficulty in standards at second grade. When looking at our second graders and their proficiency last year, there was 16% proficiency in second grade last year compared to this year. As their third graders, we have 47% proficiency in third grade, which is great success. Some of the steps I'm taking as a principal to leverage assets for school improvement: constantly monitoring our EARLA data, providing teachers a day every 2 weeks to update their school-based data so that when we are looking at EARLA data, that it's real-time data. We are going to roll out DIBELS progress monitoring. We haven't been doing that consistently this year. We will be doing that moving forward. And our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teachers have been utilizing the iReady standard mastery assessments
to assess how their students are doing on achieving those standards, and then utilizing the resources afterwards to drive small group instruction and ensure students are meeting our standards. Additionally, trying to capitalize on PLC time during the school day and trying building PD time. This has been critical. It hasn't been consistent due to sub-coverage, but this is definitely a critical piece to ensure that while teachers have time to look at data, they also have an opportunity to do something with the information in front of them. And then lastly is intentional support, making sure that teachers, after they've had the time to look at the data, then have time in the PLC to look at their lessons and figure out what they're going to do. They are then intentionally adding those supports during their lesson, whole group instruction, and also during their small group instruction.
Wow, how did you do it? We know that we're lifelong learners here at Pembroke, but we still have some improvements to make. Let's take a look at where we're going.
So where is Pembroke going? Our hope as a collective staff is to ensure that not only our students are able to read and write and do math and engage in science and social studies at grade level, but to also leave as caring, kind, respectful, responsible, and problem solvers in the future. And so what are we doing to get our students there? So one thing that we are doing is really focusing on strengthening our Tier 1 instruction in ELA to ensure that all of our students develop strong reading, comprehension, critical thinking, and writing skills. We have implemented our core curriculum K-5 last year we rolled it out K-3, and this year we are rolling it out 4-5, and we are really focusing on making sure that our students are meeting with their teachers in small group conferencing at a minimum of once, if not more, within a 14-day cycle. Additionally, constantly looking at where our students' individual reading levels are and if they need to be pushed to the next level so that they have access to grapple with grade level or above grade level content. What we are also doing is we have really this relentless focus on data. We are constantly looking at our ERLA data, which is our individual reading level data. We are constantly looking at our DIBELS data. We are also rolling out the DIBELS progress monitoring, where teachers are progress monitoring our students from one DIBELS assessment to the next to see are our students who are well below benchmark growing, and if they're not, what decisions or what instructional moves do our teachers need to make to address those significant skill gaps to support our learners as they move through the grade levels. In 3, 4, and 5, we have also rolled out the iReady Standard Mastery Assessment, and that has been very powerful because it allows our teachers to see how our students are progressing with the standards, to see if they're able to actually score proficient on standards, and if they're not, then what do the teachers need to do within small group setting and in their core instruction to be able to support those learners and being able to access the standards, and I shouldn't say access the standards, but master the standards. Additionally, we are trying to incorporate PLC time or more PLC time. So more recently, last year, we were able to have more consistent PLC time from the district level. This year, that has been a little bit slow to start, but we are able to do some of it during the school day. More recently, it started in February, and we're also embedding that during building PD time to ensure that our teachers have time to talk as a grade level as far as what are some good practices. Each teacher is turnkeying that can be replicated in other classes to support students in meeting their academic success. And intentional support. So we are also making sure that we are embedding intentional supports in lessons. So while not only looking at small group instruction, but looking at what can teachers do during whole group instruction to support all learners, to make sure that we are not only meeting our students who are below grade level, but also supporting our students who are at and above grade level.
You know, Libby, we took a deep look at where we were as a school, and that's what we've been using so far to drive us as far as where we want to go.
You, Dr. Perez, along with our staff and students, make our school amazing.
Thank you so much. You know, one of those very special teachers actually received Teacher of the Year here at Pembroke Elementary School.
Yes, our very own Miss Anna Cefaloni. The pictures don't do this amazing teacher justice. We have our very own Gabby Speed in the field standing here, Miss Cefaloni.
I'm here with Miss Cefaloni. And thank you for being here with us. We want to know how long have you been here for?
I've been teaching in Danbury for almost 19 years, but I've been here in Pembroke for 16 of those years.
And we love having you.
Thank you. I love being here.
What do you love about Pembroke?
The thing I love most about Pembroke is our community that we have built. I feel like we are a Pembroke family. And when you walk down the hall, you see students helping each other, taking each other's hand and getting them where they need to go. You see staff members supporting each other through the good, the bad, and everything in between. And there's so much love and compassion for each other. So Pembroke is a great place to learn and a beautiful place to be.
Thank you, Miss Cefaloni. Back to Liv.
We have amazing teachers, but do we also have amazing students?
We sure do, Libby. We just actually had our spelling bee here, which was amazing. Do you want to see a clip?
Of course. Let's put it up on the screen.
All right, friends, here we are with some highlights from Pembroke's second annual Spelling Bee competition. We had many students that were in the Spelling Bee Club, but unfortunately only 8 of them could participate due to that nasty flu. It's been going around. We know they worked very hard during this competition, and what a competition it was. It was a long competition, 14 rounds, so we're just going to cut right to the highlights. And they went back and forth over the next several rounds like their lives depended on it. Let's see Sophia as she spells the word snazzy. Can you believe they chose snazzy? Yeah, I can't even spell it myself. Does she do it? Does she?
Snazzy. S-N-A-Z-Z-Y, Snazzy.
That is right. She worked really hard, did a wonderful job, but now it's just down to our final 2, Caden and Tatiana. Caden and Tatiana, both 5th graders in our school that have been doing the Spelling Bee Club for a while, and they went back and forth. And then that was when Caden stepped up and spelled his final word and tested.
I-N-T-E-S-T-I-N-E-S.
And he gets it. Our boy Caden. So Caden, our 2025 Pembroke Elementary School Spelling Bee champion. A huge thank you to Mrs. Robertson, who volunteered much of her time before school for the last several weeks, getting all these participants ready for their big day. It was a huge success, and we are already gearing up and excited for next year's Spelling Bee competition. And good luck to our friend Caden up in Hartford.
As you can see, Libby, we have a lot going on, and that's not all.
Here's more.
Yes, of course there's more. We have a variety of academic programs. For example, we currently have our chess club going on. They're going to be competing at the end of the year. We also have our morning MLL support group. We also have a 3rd grade academic success group going on. And next year, my goal is to add a math club program.
That's wonderful, Dr. Perez. It's time to move on to the last portion of our show. Now, I see you brought some students with you today. What are they going to share?
These students are going to be talking to you about our PBIS program, as well as some other key initiatives that are going on.
We are so happy to share our key initiatives with everyone this year. We implemented PBIS in our school to help improve our community. Our school qualities come from the banners in front of our building. This year, we are focusing on respect, respectability, and caring. When we started the year, each class came up with a poster showing what these qualities look like in different areas. But that's not all. We also instituted our token economy to go with our PBIS. When teachers see students doing the right thing, being responsible, respectful children, they can give them 1 or more Pembroke bucks as a thank you. Any adult that works in our school system can provide the book. But you know what my favorite part of the book is? What? Spending it, of course. Each teacher has a shop that they set up where the students can spend their Pembroke bucks either on items or privileges in the classroom, like being mini teacher or having lunch. To help
With this, we also have a positivity crew. Our mission is to collaborate with the principal each month to amplify student voices, drive positive change, and foster a stronger, more inclusive school community. We have students from different grade levels, primary through intermediate, and we talk about how we can improve our school making real changes. Finally, we have our event. We have all sorts of fun things we do at Pembroke during school and after school. We've been lucky to have math science coming for the grades 3, 4, and 5. In October, we have Spooktacular after school as well as a movie night. We look forward to our 3rd annual multicultural night, and there's so much more that we wish we could share.
Here at Pembroke, we really are a community of problem solvers and lifelong learners. And we appreciate how everyone supports our growth. Back to you, Liz.
Thank you very much. That is our show, Pembroke Spotlight. Dr. Perez, anything else?
That's it. Thank you so much for having me, Libby.
You're welcome. Pembroke is a safe and caring school. Despite in the powers of community problem solvers and lifelong learners. We work together for the academic success and the personal achievement of all.
Ms. Hans here?
Yeah.
Amazing job.
I do have to say, he did get a little upset with me because I kept changing my outfits. Every day, your hair is different, and I never wear my hair down. He's like, no.
I just wanted, before you leave for a second, you know, there's been an incredible shift in the culture around data, use of data, I love seeing how the staff is digging into that, and I know there's been a lot of conversations, been super collaborative with some of our district folks. So the interest and passion that you have in the improvement process for Pembroke is very evident, and we look forward to more growth over time through your leadership. So thank you very much.
We're going to move on down the agenda. Public participation.
The board welcomes public participation and asks that speakers please limit their comments to 3 minutes. Speakers may offer objective comments of school operations and programs that concern them. The board will not permit any expression of personal complaints or defamatory comments about Board of Education personnel and students, nor against any person connected with the Danbury Public School System.
Thank you. If anyone would like to come before the board and did not sign the sheet, could you do so now? Okay. There's a sheet in the back. No. She's not the first one. No. We have someone ahead of you. Okay? Our first speaker is Erica Thaxton.
Members of the board, I'm here tonight to express concern about the negative experience my daughter and I have had since transferring from Bethel Public Schools District over to Danbury Public School District. I attempted to register her the week of January 27th in order to expedite the process. However, I was told I couldn't start the process until she was fully withdrawn from Bethel Public School District. Because of the delay in the enrollment process, my daughter wasn't given a start date until February 19, 2025. And although her doctors and healthcare team have given the school district ample documentation stating why my daughter needs door-to-door transportation because of her health issues, they have still denied her such transportation, which in turn has made her miss 13 days of school, which is a violation of her right to public education. I have reached out several times to a number of employees at the Board of Education, including the superintendent. They have not responded with an adequate solution. I feel as if my daughter is being treated unfairly due to her multiple health issues. My hope for tonight is that someone from the board will intervene and assist with a favorable resolution to this matter. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Ellen?
Hello, my name is Ellen Du Bois, and I'm a Danbury resident and member of the Danbury Concert Association All-Volunteer Board of Directors. Thank you for inviting me to speak this evening on behalf of the esteemed 100-year-old Danbury Concert Association, not to be confused with the Danbury Music Center. We bring world-class classical music to Danbury.
Excuse me, could you speak to the mic just a little bit? We can't
Yes,
hear you now. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Should I start over?
Yes.
Okay, it's 3 minutes. Okay. Hello, my name is Ellen Du Bois. I'm a Danbury resident and member of the Danbury Concert Association All-Volunteer Board of Directors. Thank you for inviting me to speak this evening on behalf of the esteemed 100-year-old Danbury Concert Association, not to be confused with the Danbury Music Center. We bring world-class classical music to Danbury, 4 concerts in the annual series, 2 in the fall, 2 in the spring, on weekend afternoons. The Danbury Cultural Commission has awarded the DCA a grant which provides for all Danbury students to attend at no cost. This is a huge gift to Danbury for Danbury students. No advance ticketing is necessary for the students should they have a schedule conflict. Casual attire, and due to attention spans, we feel that 3rd graders through 12th graders are best suited to attend. There is an intermission and a buffet reception after the performance so that the musicians and attendees can meet and talk. I have witnessed many artists high-five young people who approach them with words of encouragement as they describe their personal musical journeys. The artists are at times young child prodigies who a student may see as a role model. I have personally witnessed non-music oriented students become dedicated to music with such exposure. The direct correlation between music and excellence in math and sciences is well documented, not to mention the side benefit of relaxation. The performing artists marvel at the outstanding acoustics at the Westcon Visual and Performing Arts Center, stating that they wish they lived closer to be able to practice in the concert hall. Some have returned to record there. Hearing these world-renowned musicians play a Steinway piano or a Stradivarius violin as they perform on stage in advance of Lincoln Center, Carnegie Hall, and the world's most esteemed concert halls is absolutely spellbinding. In order to comply with the grant requirements and get the word to parents and students, parents, square, all principals and teachers, including music and chorus teachers, it is necessary that I send a flyer or its equivalent in advance of each concert in the manner that you see fit. I await instructions on that, and I am
the go-between happily to bring music to the students of Danbury. Sunday, March 16th, which is coming up quickly and free, the DCA hosts for the first time 2 opera singers from the Metropolitan Opera. They are the sought-after tenor and soprano Zach Gorczewski and Catherine Lewick. She has sung Queen of the Night 300 times, and people throng to her performances. For those students who are singers, this may interest them. Saturday, June 7th at 3 is the Essex Septet, world-renowned musicians with a string, wind, and brass repertoire. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. And through our K-12, our supervisor, fine art supervisor, will coordinate and get those flyers out and make sure that all of our students are aware of the opportunity.
Great.
And thank you so much.
Sure, thank you.
We move on down the agenda, the consent calendar. Michelle?
Motion that the Board of Education approve the consent calendar, exhibits 25 through 12, 25 through 17.
Motion made by Michelle, could I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Julie. Any question concerning the consent calendar? Seeing none, all in favor, could I hear aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion so carried. Anyone who would like to come before the board that's on our education staff?
Good evening, everyone. How are you tonight?
Good evening.
Nice to see everyone. So I'm going to talk a little bit about another side of Pembroke tonight. A few moments ago, we were privileged to see a small window into the wonderful school that I'm so very proud to work at for the past 21 years. I come before you tonight not only as the president of the Teachers Union, but also as someone who has seen the changes of Pembroke over the past 2 decades. More importantly, I come as an advocate for our students, especially our students with disabilities, those who need us most. Sitting behind me, of course, are representatives of the most dedicated staff of Pembroke School, and they're also here to advocate for urgent improvements to our school. So we're here to request immediate action to address some of the critical issues within our self-contained special education programming. We're facing overwhelming challenges within our special education program that are affecting our entire school community and severely impacting the working and learning conditions for all of our staff and students. We cannot ask our students, many of whom already face immense obstacles, to learn in an environment that does not fully meet their needs. It's unacceptable that in 2025, we have a school in our district where critical support services are falling short. Our educators are passionate about serving our students with significant needs, but the current conditions are making it severely challenging to provide them with the education and support that they need. Over time, continued expansion of our self-contained special education classrooms at Pembroke, without the necessary increase in staffing, paraprofessional support, training, and resources, has created an unsustainable situation for both students and staff. Pembroke's special education program has grown, but without the necessary resources to keep up. Our self-contained classrooms are overcrowded, with some exceeding 14 students, far beyond the recommended limits. Staffing shortages mean teachers and paraprofessionals are stretched thin, making it harder to provide the individualized instruction and behavioral support that our students require. These challenges don't just impact special education classrooms. They affect the entire school. General education teachers are stepping in daily to help during crisis situations, leading to often frequent interruptions in instruction. This impacts all of our learners. As a result of consistently being overextended and undersupported, our staff are experiencing burnout, stress, and high turnover, making it even harder to maintain a safe and consistent learning environment for our students. Despite all these challenges, our principal, our wonderful principal, does an incredible job supporting both students and our staff. She leads us with dedication and care, always putting the needs of the school first, the needs of our students first. She's a terrific role model for our staff. Without her, we would be in a far more critical situation. She cannot do this alone. She needs the additional support of an assistant principal, resources to manage the growing demands of the special education program, and the support of the district to restructure the size of our program at Pembroke, while still working to support the broader community. We know that solutions exist, and we really want to work together to create a program that truly meets the needs of all of our students. So this is our request, Partnership for Action. Our educators want to work together with the district to rebuild a sustainable and effective special education program at Pembroke. The district is lucky. You already have a tremendous asset of our dedicated staff. We want to rebuild the program to become innovative and cutting edge like it once was. So what are we asking for? A reduction in the number of self-contained special education classrooms, smaller, manageable special education class sizes that align with national recommendations, an assistant principal to help lead and support the special education program, reliable paraprofessional staffing that we can count on daily, and a fully staffed team of paraprofessionals to meet our student needs, and training and development for this essential staffing. We would like a clear and actionable plan for improvement for our 25-26 school year with input from the educators. We're not asking for luxuries. We're just asking for what our school deserves. Every child, regardless of their abilities, has the right to an environment that is safe, inclusive, and conducive to learning. We know that our school district, Danbury, has always prided itself on being a community that cares for all of its students. Now is the time to turn that care into action. We believe every one of our students deserves a school environment where they can thrive, and every educator at Pembroke deserves the support they need to make that happen. I urge this board to prioritize these improvements and work collaboratively with us to create that learning environment that we envision. Thank you for that part. I do have one other part to talk to you about. So this afternoon, our NEA Danbury Union honored our educators during Black History Month. And we decided to honor two specific educators, so this is happy news. We honored Jamie Pope from Broadview Middle School, who is a special education teacher, and we honored Nilda Almonte from Rogers Park, who is a teacher there. Both of these teachers exemplify stellar role models. They act as stellar role models for our students, and they are people that we've identified as leaders in our community. We celebrated Black History Month today because we wanted to talk about, amongst ourselves as colleagues, the story of Black history being our American history. And we wanted to have a discussion, an open collaborative discussion about how our American history is a story of resilience, brilliance, and achievement in the face of adversity. And we found ourselves having a collaborative discussion about some of the things that are happening in our country today. And we just wanted to make a point tonight that we truly believe as educators that diversity, equity, and inclusion are not bad words. They are words we should be proud of, and they are words that this district embodies. Public schools embody diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we don't want this trend that's going on in our country to trickle down to our beloved district. We want to make sure all of our students are supported. We want to make sure that now more than ever, we're reminding ourselves that our communities, our public education itself, is a symbol of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it's one of the few institutions built on the promise that every child, no matter their race, their background, or their zip code, deserves access to knowledge, opportunity, and a fair shot at success. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
And thank you. Any of our students here tonight from the high school or either ACE? Move on down the agenda. Okay, Superintendent report.
Okay, good evening again. So I just want to thank again, Ellen. Ellen, I had you further down under the superintendent report, so I apologize for not giving you the warmest welcome when you came up to the podium. I wasn't quite sure. We had not met before, so thank you again for the opportunity for our students. Aside from that, we've got a couple of things on our agenda tonight, just things that have been happening, sort of in reference to some of the things that Erin has mentioned. We'll first talk a little bit about the immigration concerns and response. So we had a board meeting that was canceled a couple of weeks ago, and in even just a few weeks back, I think the tension around immigration issues was a little bit more intense than it is at the current day at the moment. But I'll talk to you a little bit about where, it's still a very intense situation, but sort of where we've been. So Danbury has responded in kind to some of the initiatives that have come down. We have communicated to our community, to our staff, our position on should ICE approach our school district and how we should handle that. There's a lot of angst in the community, there still is, but there's a lot of angst, particularly in schools, on how to handle certain instances should they occur. And once we were able to communicate very clearly where our stance was and what our protocol was, some of the tension, not all of it, came down a little bit. People really just wanted to know, how do I respond in this situation and where is the district's position on this? So we had taken some time to talk with our administrative staff on more than one occasion, and then they then turnkeyed the communication to their staff to relay the protocols that we have in place and the security measures that we have in place should there be any sort of situation or interaction with immigration officials. And so we had a lot of stressors in the community and in schools in the first couple of weeks. We had some of our absenteeism rates shot up. We had a few days where it was very apparent that it had a significant effect on our families and our students and of course our staff as well. In subsequent weeks, things have calmed down a little bit, although the stressors in the community are very real and very present. But we haven't had any instances or occurrences to date here so far, and we hope that that continues to be the case moving forward, that it's not something that we have to interact with on a school basis or on a daily basis. So we're moving forward with that. I want to thank the staff, the administrative staff, the school staff for their response and the way that they've been handling the tensions as of late. The next item, the next item really has to do with federal changes. And even again, 2 weeks back, we've been kind of working through a series of issuance of grant freezes and then unfreezing, and then letters that we received from the Office of Civil Rights around DEI and kind of ceasing activities around DEI. And then today, just really before the board meeting, and it's not included in the packet, we got another letter, a clarification letter from the State of Connecticut State Board of Education, from the Office of Civil, regarding the Office of Civil Rights, dear colleague letter, clarifying Connecticut's position, if you will, in interpretation of the letter that was sent out, the open, the dear colleague letter that was circulated. And so really, it's about whether or not school districts should terminate DEI programs within a 14-day window and providing clarity around that. And I'll read you just a snippet of what it says to kind of show you where we are today. And we've been riding the roller coaster of kind of the federal information that's been coming out. But the previous letter that was just issued, Connecticut is saying the letter does not order schools and districts to terminate DEI programs within 14 days. What it does warn against is a DEI program that gives preference to certain racial groups and teach students that certain racial groups bear unique moral burdens and others do not. In other words, if an educational entity gives preferential or adverse treatment to any student or body of students based on their race, color, or national origin, either through a DEI initiative or otherwise, and that if that disparity in treatment deprives a student or body of students an educational benefit, then it's in violation of Title VI. So it's not necessarily that everybody has to stop all programs. It's really if you're creating something that is decisions that are based on race, whether you're hiring, whether you're making certain decisions that are based on race. So it's a little bit more of a defined subset within the umbrella of DEI. The state of Connecticut has said that federal law prohibits any officer or employee from the federal government from using a grant, contract, or cooperative agreement as a means of mandating, directing, or controlling a state. And that federal funding cannot be terminated without specific multi-step legal process that includes the opportunity for a hearing and so on and so forth. So there's been a lot of questions coming my way about, is our funding going to be cut off? Do we stop certain programs? We have increasing educator diversity plan that is legislatively mandated by the state of Connecticut. And so things like this have been on the minds of superintendents. We're concerned about funding. We're concerned about programs that we are legislatively required to implement. And in our last meeting with the commissioner and with their attorneys, they said keep going with the increasing educator diversity grant, keep going with our increasing educator diversity plan that we have with the state. And that that funding remains intact. Those programs do not say to hire based on race. It's really about creating a pool in our school system to make sure that we're continuing to open up our school system to the diversity that we have here. So we're continuing to understand the federal laws and the changes and the updates that come in. But we've been told by the state of Connecticut to carry on with some of the programs that we have here. As a board, we still have to review some of our policies and things that we have in play against some of the other federal information that's coming out. So we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to interpret the information that comes to us. We're not going to knee-jerk in any hard direction per se. But like I said, within 1 week, we received 2 different letters that contradict one another. And so as a board, we'll work together to interpret that and review and revise some of our policies if needed over time. The board survey update. So as you know, a few weeks back, the board we put together a survey. We sent it out to staff to collect information around climate. And we'll do a little bit of a summary of that. So the board was interested in what are we doing well, where are things that we can grow, how can we further support you, and the sort of general themes that emerged out of that. The idea that we need better resources, that came up kind of heavy throughout the survey. Concern around class size, caseloads that are high across the district, that we have a complex student population that creates challenges that we need to work through, crowding into schools. Some cases, there was survey responses around needing more PD, but then also needing less PD and more prep, so that was kind of interesting to see. That we have a lot of initiatives that we're dealing with right now. We need to celebrate success more, create a positive culture, better support the schools, enforce the discipline code of conduct in many ways, eliminate those cell phones, the need to increase funding, and then probably by and large, that came out on the positive was that diversity is our strength, and that teachers and our staff are highly dedicated. So diversity is our superpower here, and that came through very evident in our survey. So we'll use that survey as a springboard for planning. As always, we look for those themes that emerge, and that helps us plan strategic planning for the next year. It also helps different departments and different schools that also look at this information and help them plan accordingly to things that are happening in their building that may be pertinent to what we see coming out of these surveys. So that is the budget timeline. The next thing on our list here is the post-university student opportunity. So very excited to finally announce that we have a full articulation of post-university for our students. And Students are able to take college courses. They start next week. They are 8-week cycles, and we have 181 students registered already that wanted to challenge themselves. The courses that exist through POST, many of them were intentionally aligned to feed into their pathways. So it could be accounting, it could be cybersecurity. So we're excited about that. We had about 300 students show up to the flex period to learn more about it, and I think it will pick up over time as we continue to increase more exposure around it, and word gets out that it wasn't so bad, and I challenged myself and I was able to begin a college transcript in high school. So I think that that will be something that we're going to grow over time, and we'll have multiple articulations across many universities, and POST is really just our first one. Yes?
Yes.
Just a quick question about what grade levels are participating in that?
Yeah, so it's open to everyone. We have actually, pull up my little notes here, POST. I'll give you a couple extra little tidbits about it. So the credits are under POST that count towards the DHS graduation requirements. The POST grades are treated as transfer credits, but they don't count towards DHS GPA. We have some ESL classes in there as well. And I believe they're open to all students. Is Julian here? They're open to all. We didn't limit it. Yeah, okay. He's at the high school level, so I don't think we limited it, but I just wanted to make sure that we didn't do senior preference first and then backing down to freshmen. That's usually what we do. But it's pretty open, and we have 181 students that are registered and ready to start. So it's great. It's a great opportunity. Yeah, and we have room to offer some more, and that's funded through our alliance, one of our alliance strategies.
Teresa, you have a question?
Yes, the transfers credits, are they towards their major or towards just elective credits?
Right now, they're just towards elective because they don't declare a major per se, but they can be absolutely placed towards that as if they decide to go to POST, but also the credits transfer, so it's a great deal.
Yeah.
What kind of savings are we looking at? Because this is,
So it's not so much about the savings, although some kids can graduate early with this because the credits can be applied toward DHS graduation. So students can accelerate and graduate early by taking, as many credits as they, that we have available. So there's a limited pool. If you remember, we had a DECO program, Danbury Early College, and so it was a limited group of students that sort of had access to this pool of money. And what we did when we designed the academies is the intention was to spread that out across all academies and all pathways so that anybody who wanted to take those college credits had full access to that. So there really are no barriers to this.
I guess what I meant was savings for families, like when you're going to PACE, like what does that
absolutely.
actually translate?
So these courses are about thank you for clarifying, these courses are about $150 for a 3-credit course. You cannot go anywhere and take a college course for $350. Some of the schools that we're talking to now, like Southern, their courses are $50 for a 3-credit course. So we're continuing to communicate with area universities to build and partner with us. I have some communications happening right now at the college level about creating ladder programs to academy and pathway models like ours so kids can hitch their wagon onto an associate's degree that is very specific. Right now, for example, very quickly, WestConn has one associate degree. It's a liberal arts degree. I would love to see in our own backyard that we have about 10 or 12 associate degrees that are specific to very career-focused areas, so accounting associates, healthcare related associates, engineering certificates at the associate level. They exist with embedded industry credentials, but we start some of that coursework at Danbury High School through our pathways. So we hitch kids on to an associate's and can go on for a bachelor's degree. It's a significant savings.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there any other questions?
Okay, and then the last one is AIS enrollment update. So the ladder is officially closed for Danbury students. We are continuing to leave it open for families who live outside of Danbury for those who are interested in having their child attend. We had about 484 total applicants. 440 applicants were Danbury families, The remaining 42 were from out of district, Brookfield, New Fairfield, New Milford, Bethel, Reading, Newtown, Waterbury, and Woodbury. Seats were extended to 35 applicants, but we were unable to offer seats to all 42 because there was an agreement with the town. They can't go over a certain cap in some cases. We are still very concerned about our ratio. Our numbers are not where they need to be, and they are in decline. We have stepped up some radio announcements. Mike Seelig, thank you very much. He's working on TV advertisements. We have brochures that have been going out. We've been distributing to just about everybody that we can think of. But there is a decline in the number of surrounding town students that are interested in coming. So we have some serious conversations that will need to take place in the coming year or two about how we continue to enroll in that school. Right now we're under-enrolled, so that's a tough pill to swallow in a school system that is maxed out everywhere else. So we have some decisions to make probably in the near future about the state. Right now we went down to 2 kindergartens. We had 3 last year. When we go down to 2, that meant this year we rolled up to having only 2 first grades. Right now we're struggling to fill 2 kindergarten classrooms for next year with the way that the data is rolling in now, and that's not good. So we can't keep that pattern up. That building would be severely under-enrolled, and it would be a detriment to our own Danbury kids not having those seats. So we did put in the budget a part-time recruiter to work with families to go directly out to the communities. Our principal has done some of that. I've gone to the board. I have worked with the superintendents. But we're not getting the bites that we have in the past. So we'll continue to monitor that and leave the magnet lottery open for non-Danbury families for as long as we can, and hopefully some of that will change a little bit. So, not the best news.
Louisa?
Quick question. Do we have any feedback from the surrounding towns as to why there was the interest?
Well, so transportation, first of all, is not included. They can come from anywhere. So we do have some transportation. I think we have a bus in Bethel, and we have one in New Milford, one that goes up to Route 7 in Milford. But it's mostly, Brookfield used to send. They opened up a brand new 800 or 900 seat elementary school. It's absolutely beautiful. Kelly, I think your kids go there, yeah. It's gorgeous, and that hurt quite a bit. New Milford is popular. They continue to send to us. New Fairfield, nothing, not so much in terms of high interest. And Bethel, we have a couple from Bethel. But we started advertising, to a greater body. Staff, any staff members want to bring their students from out of town, that's fine. I have talked to WestCon. I thought it'd be a great benefit for any WestCon staff member who, especially that end of the campus, who wanted to bring their children. But we're just not getting the enrollment. I do think some of the surrounding towns that have built newer schools, that has not helped.
Juanita?
So do we service any of our SPED students at AIS?
Yes.
What, is it self-contained resource?
It's just mostly resource at work. Yeah.
All resource students there currently, and we do service both Danbury residents and any of our surrounding districts. If a student is accepted with special needs, we also provide special education services for students from sending districts, and there is a compensation arrangement between the sending district and us to help support some of the costs related to that.
And so I just mentioned that as a possible suggestion for the numbers that we heard from Ezra.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the superintendent?
Thank you.
We're going to move on down the agenda. Board standing committees. We're going to start with community relations. Kate?
The committee met this past Monday. We discussed some upcoming events that the board could potentially be participating in. That includes just two dates I'm going to throw out right now, which will probably see some kind of notification come through an email. 4 or 5, there's an early childhood fair, I guess, that has a bunch of different providers. That's at Rogers Park. 4/26, there's a Family University Day, again at Rogers Park. Love to see some board representation there, but again, that'll come forward. We also heard from Dr. Seelig about some state-level legislative efforts that our administration is participating in. I don't know if anybody else saw, there was an email that came through from CABE with a call to action requesting that Board of Ed members, specifically CABE members, reach out to the governor's office in support of the $40 million allotment for special ed excess costs. So if you have a moment to shoot a quick email, there's a link directly in that email that was sent by Kate. It's very easy to do. And then we also talked a little bit about budget advocacy and trying to plan an in-person event for Dr. Casimiro to kind of go over the ins and outs of the budget like we did last year. But that's also being discussed as well as we may end up doing Zoom events or something similar. Depends on the timing.
Curriculum none.
We just had a curriculum meeting tonight, and we went over, we had a really great presentation about AI and different avenues that are helpful and harmful. So it was a really great meeting.
Thank you. The presentation was.
It was great.
It really was. Thank you. We're gonna do you have anything for finance?
You'll see that there are minutes here that are attached from Teresa, which were excellent, very long minutes, very thorough, so thank you. So I will just kind of do a brief recap. We have on tonight's meeting the approval of the January finance report. We discussed the closure of the 2023 audit, which we are still waiting for some final reporting out. And then we talked a little bit about the federal funding situation, and we also talked a little bit about budget advocacy. But again, I do encourage everybody to read those notes. They were very thorough, so thank you.
I omitted I skipped over an item on the budget timeline under the superintendent's report, so I did not discuss that. But just for the general public, on Tuesday, April 1st, the mayor presents the proposed budget to City Council. The week of April 7th, the date is still yet to be determined, but ad hoc. There's an ad hoc where the committee appointed to make a recommendation on the mayor's proposed education budget will ask us questions, so we'll make our presentation that week. The week of April 21st, date still TBD. There's a public hearing in committee of the whole, which is the council, to address and discuss the mayor's proposed budget. And then on Tuesday, May 6th, the city council will discuss and vote on the budget. So there's just some dates coming up there, but I did want to reference something that was not in necessarily in the agenda, but has since emerged, and that is the closure of the 23 audit. And Mike and I attended a meeting at City Hall where that finally came to a conclusion, a closure. There was a significant surplus on the BOE side for that year, and Mike and I are going to have some more conversations about why that occurred or how that occurred, so that as an organization we make sure that we're doing everything that we can to be efficient and as transparent as possible. But then, my greater concern is, and our greater concern is understanding how that surplus, if at all, has impacted the budgets moving forward. So we'll know that at the conclusion of the 24 audit, if that amount is still in there. And as we approach, we look at our own budget right now, we have to ask ourselves, if that is still there, are there adjustments that need to be made? And if so, we'll do that in the time when it's the right time to do that. But we're still in the process of understanding how that surplus affects the subsequent budgets that were attached to it.
Michelle?
Can you tell us what that surplus is?
Um,
I believe there's a number.
Do you have a number?
Yes, it's 7.9.
Any other questions? Mike, do you have anything, do you want to bring before the board from the committee in the meeting that was not brought up here?
No, I believe Kate already covered it, but just to mention that we did finish the 23 audit, and we'll be starting the 24 audit as soon as there's an engagement letter signed with RSM and the city.
Okay, thank you.
Wasn't there a mention that it would take about 6 months?
Yes.
So we did get correspondence from you regarding this, and then you still had questions. That it had been closed down. I had gotten a different number of 9 million, right, in the hearing. And certain areas that it surplus looks like it came from. And so when are we, because my understanding from what you had written was that you were kind of trying to digest it. And it was going to take possibly the next audit to come up with the answers. That's 6 months from now. So I was under the impression that an audit gets done and then we get answers. So when do we get to sit down and review as a board?
Yeah, so the document, yes, I'm right with you. The document itself has not been made public. So there needs to be, I need to sit with auditors to understand, and I want to sit obviously in collaboration with the city to kind of look at that myself. And so that at that audit meeting that we were at, it was more of a high-level summary in that section, and kind of close the books. They're going to open up the 24 audit soon, from what I understand. There'll be a kickoff of that, but we have to set up a meeting to digest once that document is made public. So that I can understand and work with the auditors. I don't have the same insider knowledge as the auditors do, of course, as to those numbers.
I'm just wondering, when you get these answers,
of course,
will you bring it to the board, of course, before it goes to city council, before they make these decisions?
Oh, of course.
Will you explain what, because we were here during this process.
Yes.
It looks like it came out with, under healthcare, which was the main driver for a lot of us going back to city council. So I want some clear understanding of what has happened. I know as general, I went to the ad hoc, and again, there's a little bit of discrepancies right now, just us sitting here with numbers I heard.
Sure.
So I just want to make sure that we will have the opportunity to sit down, if that's exactly whatever it is,
absolutely,
and have a conversation before we go, and we're at city council.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Teresa?
Real quick, just by uneducated opinion, I do not like these auditors. So if we have to sign another contract with them, I'm not for it. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Teresa.
That's it, that was it.
Policy.
Our last meeting was on February 5th, and we will see a bunch of those policies on tonight's meeting. I just want to highlight policy 5131-B1, which is about electronic devices. That one is our cell phone policy, so I hope everybody's had a chance to look it over. We spent considerable time in that policy. And we took information from the ad hoc committee that was formed of teachers, administrators, parents, and community members. We took a lot of information from the feedback that they gave us and tried to make sure that this policy really reflects what the community is looking for. Our next policy meeting is March 5th. Thank you.
Sites and facilities, Louisa?
Thank you. We just had our last sites and facilities meeting on Monday evening. We had members of the city ad hoc join us in our continued efforts collaborating with the city on working through a lot of our sites and facilities issues that have been plaguing our schools. Mike also went over a lot of the repairs and We had a robust conversation from our committee members on, moving forward, how we can improve the communication within the committee and also with the ad hoc committee. I believe we have an ad hoc tentatively scheduled for March. And then we will have a sites meeting in April. So I encourage everybody as soon as I get a date on the ad hoc, I encourage everybody to go. Because it really is a good way for us to kind of bridge that conversation.
March 24th.
Yes.
March 24th is the ad hoc.
Yes.
And so are we using the ad hoc in place of the March sites and facilities meeting for the board?
We were going to do a March meeting, but we postponed it to April because we are going to do a tour of the academy. So that got postponed to April. So then we have the ad hoc step.
And so the April Sites and Facilities Board of Ed Committee meeting is now about the building.
It will be at the academy, yes, and we will be touring the academy, yes.
And so the tour will be the meeting, or will we be able to have a committee meeting?
As we did when we did our Danbury High School tour, it was an official meeting, and we did conduct action items. And Terry was our little notekeeper through the whole tour. So it is an official meeting, so the committee should attend, because if we don't have a quorum, then we were unable to have the meeting. So yes, we will be able to ask the questions, we will have people there on site to, and if there's any action items, we usually kind of meet afterwards to take care of that. So yes.
Any other questions? Oh, yes. Sorry. And so I just need to go on record as being opposed to either dropping the March Sites and Facilities Committee meeting or having the April meeting at the Academy for our Sites and Facilities Committee to give a tour. So I just want to go on record as being opposed to canceling our March meeting and for having our April meeting for touring the Academy in our meeting after that.
I wasn't sure I got the last one.
I can't hear you, Jude. I need you to, I need to know what
My apologies. I said I wasn't sure I understand what it was expressed in the last line.
Okay, so our March Board of Ed Sites and Facilities Committee meeting for March has been canceled. Our April Board of Ed Sites and Facilities Committee is now meeting at the high school in April to tour the high school. To tour the new building. I think that should be a separate tour if the board wants to go, rather than coupling it with our Sites and Facilities Committee Board of Ed meeting.
I just want to say, we don't have scheduled monthly meetings. When Gladys put the meetings together, they were not done monthly, they're quarterly. So, we don't have monthly meetings scheduled. I can call a meeting if I need to as the committee chair, but our board chair has set the schedule, and in that schedule, we were not put in for monthly meetings.
So, there's concern. I would like the chairperson, myself, the superintendent, and Mike to work out for March, if there's a possibility of a date. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay, we'll move on. Then we're going to action item A. Louisa, could you read the complete action item?
Yes.
Motion that the Board of Education to accept the following school construction projects as complete and authorize the superintendent of schools certified and execute the DAS-049F form as recommended by the Sites and Facilities Committee and in accordance with 034-0146 EARR Danbury High School, 034-0150 EA Ellsworth Avenue School addition, 034-0151 EE Ellsworth Avenue School Board of Education Administrative Registration.
Motion made by Louisa. Could I
Second.
get a second? Second by Al. Are there any questions? We had questions and discussion about this, so if there's anyone that did not attend the meeting and want to ask a question, you can do it at this time. If not, all those in favor of the motion, could I hear aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion so carried. Action item B, Kate.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Education accept the 2025 January financial report as recommended by the Finance Committee and in accordance with Exhibit 25-23.
Motion made by Kate, could I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Al. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, could I hear aye?
Aye.
Motion so carried. Teresa, action item C.
Policy 5112, students' ages of attendance/admissions and placement. Motion that the Board of Education accept for first reading policy 5112, students' ages of attendance/admissions and placement, as recommended by the Policy Committee and in accordance with 25-24.
Motion made by Teresa, could I hear a second?
Second.
Al? Motion made by Teresa, seconded by Al. Any questions? All in favor, could I hear aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Lauren, action item D.
Motion that the Board of Education accept for the first reading policy 5113, attendance and excuses as recommended by the Policy Committee in accordance with 25-25.
Motion made by Lauren, could I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Kate. Any questions? All in favor, could I hear aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion so carried.
Can I,
Al?
can I just go back to the student ages of attendance thing real quick, or is that too late?
Can we come back? Well, let me get through the motion.
Okay, sorry.
Al?
I make the motion that the Board of Education accept the first reading of policy 5113.2, truancy, as recommended by the Policy Committee in accordance with 25-26.
Motion made by Al, seconded by Teresa. Any question concerning the policy? Seeing none, all in favor, could I hear aye?
Aye.
Motion so carried. Dr. Cronin, policy number F.
Policy, letter F, policy number 5131-81 of electronic devices. The motion of the Board of Education accepts the first reading of policy 5131-8 electronic devices as recommended by the Policy Committee and in accordance with 25-27.
Motion made by Dr. Cronin. Could I hear a second? Seconded by Teresa. Any questions? All in favor, could I hear aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion so carried.
The policy C, the age of attendance, the question of waivers. We didn't address that, did we?
No, go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, the question of waivers, it does talk about the specific age of attendance that's automatic or entitled under this policy. So it's the mandates that are legally required by law, which is is why the date of birth for students changed to September 1st. You must be 5 by September 1st. Are you okay with me sharing just the waiver process this year? There is a process that if you are 5 between September 2nd and the end of December, that you can apply. I'm going to caution the use of the term waiver. It's really called early entry to kindergarten. Last year there was a waiver process because it was the first year of the legislative change of the date of birth for entry to kindergarten. Now it's saying if you believe your child who is turning 5 in the coming months may be kindergarten ready, and that really is the standard, so socially, emotionally, academically, behaviorally, and so forth, then you can apply for an assessment, and you have to write a letter to the central office leadership team. Your child would then have to participate in an assessment, which would look at academic, social, emotional, and an inventory of some behavioral assessments to see if in fact it would be advantageous to that child to start kindergarten early. So that letter is part of another statute not covered in this policy, and we are following that this year. Our website has been updated for that assessment process, and so far I believe we've received 7 requests, I think.
Should we update our policy?
I would not update this policy. If we want to do something additional in another policy, and I can get back to you on exactly which one, I would recommend you add something different in.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So,
Yes, ma'am.
the assessment, who does how does that all break down?
Sure. It will be conducted by a certified teacher, so we are looking to we are actually in the process of posting for that position, so probably a preschool and or kindergarten certified teacher, and then it will be reviewed by an administrator. And what we are looking for is that students are scoring at the 5-year or older mark, even on the date of assessment, even though they will be several months prior to that 5-year birthday.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other news that anyone want to bring before the board at this time? Yes, Julie.
I just want to report to also to our chair, Relations Committee. I was able to attend Dr. Keisha Sadney's party last Friday. And then actually assist our committee meeting on Monday. But I just want to report since I'm new on the Relations Committee. I'm glad to be part of that.
Yes, go ahead.
I just, and thank you we got this electronic device policy over a big hurdle. When some of our folks were watching the last policy meeting, and we had some discussion at the secondary level, which Kelly and I engaged in conversation around the regs that would you would implement at the high school level and the middle school level and what those would look like. And we had a conversation around the idea that in some cases if we get to, so let's just say if the high school went cell phone free, right, or it was locked up, would our regs be more strict than our policy? And so we have a meeting with the secondary principals, Kelly and I, just to talk it through a little bit more, to really think through what with the cell phone policy in practice, how that would play out, and the changes that we want to see happen, and then make sure that the regs that we have aren't in conflict with the policy that would be put in place. So we're going to talk that through a little bit more before the second read, and if we come with anything substantial that changes out of that, we'll bring it back to the board.
Have you ever done a cost analysis for getting the Yoda pouches?
Very expensive. Yes, but
just for the high school sake.
Yeah. So some of the ideas that have come up are around. So the discussion has been that it'd be very difficult to tell the students just keep it in your pocket, keep it out of sight, or keep it in the bag, because that policy exists now. And so there's way more lean now than there was even at the beginning of the year to locking the devices up in some way, shape, fashion. I mean, best case scenario is you don't bring them in and they're in the locker, or they're in the, you don't take them out. But that unless they're locked up, that students will continue to use them, and it would continue to be a battle with the teachers. So that's what we're going to have some conversations around that. The younger pouches, I think they're about $25 a piece, if I remember correctly, times almost 4,000 students. So we've eliminated them. We have 2 middle schools that completely eliminated them. And they're gone, and there's nothing. And that's great. And so we're trying to come around the high school and what that's gonna look like in a way that works. But there's way more lean, like I said, now to getting rid of them. People are fed up. We'd like to be able to implement whatever we do the policy, communicate it before the end of the year, and start really fresh at the beginning of the school year for next year. We're kind of late in the game this year, but I think we want to talk it through a little bit more.
Okay, the pouches you're saying around $25. What does it cost for the magnification centers? I mean, is that, where you go?
Oh, the magnets.
The magnets.
Yeah, that all has to be installed. I mean,
is that additional on top of that?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that cost inclusive?
No,
Because I was just wondering if we could get maybe a local corporation to help with, donation and start us off on the right foot.
It's possible. There was a time.
Get a figure, okay, this is what it would cost, installation and product.
We're gonna look at all that. It is quite expensive. Some of the locking plastic cases that in the room are far less expensive way to go. But there's problems with that as well. Somebody has to have the key, you got to come back to the homeroom, and they have to have a homeroom to come back to. So that's what the meeting's about. We're gonna talk through all those things. So we want to make sure we're gonna do this, and we're gonna restrict. And again, I think heading into the policy, there was more favor to letting the kids still keep them on them, but just control it more. But that has swung in a different direction.
Yeah, it's reading more and more and seeing even the legislature.
Yeah, so we're going to discuss the technical aspects of executing a policy and come back to this group.
Well, if you can get the solid figure, I'd be interested in hearing it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Al?
So the district I'm working in, and what we did this year is the district bought pockets for each class. It's like 36 or 30, it's about 36 pockets. And the students have been told that as soon as that second bell rings, every cell phone must be in that pocket, to include iPods, what wristwatches, or whatever. And I got to say that been in school a little over a half a year, I see the attention is better. I personally in my class, within the last 15 minutes, I let them to grab their phone, because I know when you teach a 90-minute class, they're anxious to get it. Even when they ask to go to the bathroom, they don't take the phone with them, okay? So from my perspective, from my experience this year so far, it's working. Is it 100% working? No, but it's working much better than the last few years. And I think that's most cost-effective is the pouches. And the teacher's going to have to enforce to make sure that the phones are on in the pocket. But it's working.
Glad to hear it.
Okay, Kate?
My comment is not related to this conversation, it's related to the conversation that's happening. I just wanted to talk about a couple of events that I had been to at one of the schools. Okay, so I went to Westside Middle School for two different events. One was for the History Day, and one was for the Science and Engineering Fair. And I just want to report back, both were phenomenal. I know that there's another event that's happening tomorrow morning as well. I'm not able to attend that one, but I just wanted to say a special thank you to the instructor who coordinates all that, which was Nancy Barlow over at Westside Middle School. The programs are fantastic. It's a great opportunity to have some interaction with the students. And I think it's a benefit to them as well to see that there are folks in the community who are coming in to visit with them and see what they're up to. And it's very exciting to see that work. Thank you.
I would like for the board members to get invitation. And if you can at least let me know that you're going, I would appreciate it, okay? Because I can't go to all of them, so I would just like to, know if the board is covered. That's my only thing, okay? Yes, Teresa.
I want to report. I went to the spelling bee at Great Plain, and that was fun. It was a lot of fun. And also at the DHS PTO, we had a presentation from the counselor about the new student college transcript software. And She did it by Zoom, and unfortunately, she had technical difficulties. And it was unfortunate. She explained it, but I felt bad because some of the parents I was sitting with, they came from work, they were hoping to get, feedback on this new software that their children are going to be using, and parents as well. And I felt bad that there wasn't technical support for this counselor. So that was my take on that.
Any other remarks or anything that you? Yes,
We're going to be
Michelle.
across America on Monday, right? So that'll be the event.
Yes.
Covered.
Okay, nothing else? Then move on. Board chairperson report. I would like to remind all of our board members, when you receive notice for a meeting, just click on yes or no. And this way Kara knows whether you're coming or not. And I know some of you go out of your way to send an email and, let me know personally or let Kara know. And we appreciate that because she's trying to see how many people, when we have our meeting, if we're going to have a quorum. Okay? I want to give thanks to Danbury High School band. They attended the Dr. Martin Luther King program at my church on the 17th. We had to cancel it, I think, on the 15th, or whenever November the 16th. And it was the kids that always come, and they're so well prepared. And Mr. Alfonso, those kids are just remarkable. And he got up. And the other the other gentleman, I'm sorry, Mr. I think it's Petrolo.
Yeah, Patricia.
Yeah, okay. And forgive me for mispronouncing your name. He had the jazz band. So I think it was about 18 of them in all. They came, they ate, they socialized, and they went out and they just showed off in our church. And we love them. Mr. Alfonso had asked me back in May at graduation or June, are we coming to the New Hope? And I said, well, I can't say yes or no because we have an interim minister. And so I met with her and she gave me the okay to put it together. And the church just loved it. And the church was saying how well-mannered they are. And when they come and act nice, like young teenagers. Yeah. So, and I appreciate the superintendent, Carol, and Kelly down at the bus company because they have been doing this for over 20 years. Taking the resources from the bus and giving that bus to us for free. And I really want to thank them. So thank you.
Good experience with the kids.
That's all that I have to say. Is it March? March the 4th, next week, we have a busy week, some of us. We have our superintendent evaluation committee. So all of you that can, please attend the meeting. Okay? 6 o'clock here. Okay? That's all that I have. If there's nothing else, I need a motion to enter into executive session.
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Al to enter into executive session.
Yeah.
All in favor? It's seconded by Michelle. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried. Do we need a break? 5 minutes, 3 minutes? Okay, 3 minutes.
Everybody's gonna check on cell phones. Like kids. Like a bunch of kids.
I know, we complain about that. You know what's interesting, Mike, like, right, was like, because he's, just the lady here, and he said,
Are there going to be any more actions? Are there going to be any more?
and if they, he has lockers in like the whole
That's
room.
right. It's not right. It's all locked from that photo. That's great.
But now I'm noticing at home, he's like, he wants it.
Now we're getting touch that so I can just. That's all right. Sounds good to me. Who's the result? It was 9-1.
So she's, do you need her?
Yes, just leave her for a second.